Ma'am, please start.
Yes, Daniel. Some lag was there. Should I get started?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. On behalf of IDYM, Mr. Ravi Shankar and Dina Lasmi, on behalf of them, I welcome all of you for this wonderful, wonderful session this evening. And I have a very, very important person with me. I'm going to introduce him to you first before I give the floor to him for him to talk about Agnipath all today. So I welcome Brigadier Dr. Vinod Datta. He is a warrior and logistician. He has practiced various nuances of management with long and varied experience in inventory and materials management, supply chain logistics, HRM, and training. He's seen action and handled supply chain logistics in Kargil War with excellence. He was also logistics advisor to the Royal Government of Bhutan and has been faculty in College of Materials Management, Jabalpur. Brigadier holds 2 master's degrees in management and strategic studies, law degree, MPhil in management, and PhD. He has been an alumni of coveted Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, Army War College, and IIM Indo. He has also attended courses on supply chain management and logistics and project management at MDI Gurgaon. He is a visiting faculty to Army War College, Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, IIT Kanpur, IIT Roorkee, and Hamidi University, College of Materials Management, Jabalpur, GGSIP University, Indian Railways, IIRD, Shimla, EPJ School of Management. Having traversed the logistics and management field and academic world, the natural progression was to share knowledge and inspire self-development. Brigadier is a keen golfer and a voracious reader. He also has a singular honor to be in Limca Book of Records for sending maximum army officers from one single family. Brigadier was senior advisor in PSB, involved in strategy and key achievements. His deep understanding of business process, stakeholders, and interdependencies. He has been senior consultant at National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi. Presently, he is CEO of the Career Navigators. I think I need a very, very long time even to give his introduction. Thank you so much, sir. And we are honored to have you with us. Over to you, to share your first. Thank you, sir. Over to you to share your first thoughts with them. And I have a few questions to ask you because I'm very curious to know about Agnipath 2 from you today. So over to you, sir.
I must thank Dr. Anita and the organizers for organizing such a talk, which is not only bothering the young minds or the defenders of the nation, but the entire nation as such, because defense is one department which has a lot of reverence, which has got a lot of responsibility on its shoulders, because the nation looks up to the defense both in peace as well as in the war times. And this scheme has been rolled by the government at a time when there was no recruitment for say about 2 years or so because of the COVID. But definitely, at least something has come out, and the youth should take maximum benefit out of it.
Thank you, sir. That's a wonderful start. And so today's theme is on Agnipath. So a lot of people have heard in different forms and shapes that has been, induced into them by media. So let us hear from you. What is Agnipath scheme?
Well, Agnipath is a scheme which the government has introduced. As per this, in fact, it was earlier called as the tour on duty scheme. And there were deliberations were going on for quite some time, There were a lot of provisions which were deliberated upon, which were discussed, there were brainstorming, which was done. But unfortunately, there were far too many amendments, and generally, what had happened is that the scheme which got introduced saw a lot of amendments, and this kind of scheme was already prevalent as far as the officer cadre was concerned. You recall, after 1962 war, when India got a crushing defeat from the Chinese, that time there was a tremendous amount of shortage of officers. So a similar scheme was introduced, which was called as the Emergency Commission Commission for the officers, where the officers were trained for 6 months. They were given a short service emergency commission for 5 years. 25 to 30% people were retained, and the rest were released. But they were given a lot of reservations, a lot of facilities, a lot of priorities in various departments, including IAS and other provincial civil services. And they did a wonderful job. Then a short service commission was started for the officers, and it was started in Dr. Anita's city, Chennai, where they used to train officers. That was again introduced to meet the deficiency of officers at the fighting rank. Because what is happening in India, in the officer cadre, the fighting rank officers are deficient. That is the officers of the rank of lieutenant, captain, major, and a lieutenant colonel. So the government again started the same scheme, where they had given permanent commission to the desirous and volunteer officers. The rest were released. Now the government had decided that the same scheme should be there, because in some countries there is drafts commission, kahin pe, compulsory military services there. So they started basically that what we are going to do is, since there is a lot of there is a lot of burden of pension for the ex-servicemen. So the government decided that we are going to introduce an engagement period of, say, about 4 years, with 6 months of training. And 1/4 of these people who are enrolled as Agniveers, they will be retained in the army. The rest, 75%, will be released after 4 years. They will be given a sum of, say, about 11,67,000 rupees. And they will be given priorities and reservations in various paramilitary forces, government jobs, and even in the corporate houses or in the MNCs. So this is, in a nutshell, the scheme, what is called as AGNIPATH.
Amazing, sir. That I think gives out clear details on AGNIPATH. Okay. And when we talk about it, why in 2022? How long this deliberation happened, and how did they decide to do it in 2022?
Well, when I was in the service, say about 2017, the deliberations were going on. But that time it was to be taken up as a subsidiary cadre. I mean, the government was not planning to stop all the recruitment or the permanent cadre. It was basically to address the deficiencies, because even today there is a deficiency of, say, about almost 9,000 officers in the defense and more than 1 lakh jawans in the army itself. I'm not talking of Air Force and Navy. So the government was earlier thinking that we will have it as a supplementary cadre, and not to do away with the permanent cadre. Now, this came as a surprise to the nation that they said that all other recruitments prior to even this lockdown, they were declared as null and void, and a fresh scheme was launched, which I think was not very well understood by the people, and hence there were agitations and demonstrations for this.
Amazing, sir. That's why I think more sessions like this, people who have on ground information and what's really happening, if that awareness happens, I think people will be able to understand the nuances of it. So, on this context, I also want to know, you actually very clearly explained the context of the nation, okay, why the scheme and how this would help the nation. So, what is in it for the people that apply for this? So it is a 4 year, it is a short service one, it is for 4 years. So somebody can't choose a career. One is serving nation is the first priority, and also there is a life that they have ahead of them as well. So how do you see this for them?
Well, in a way, it is good that people as young as 16 and a half and 17-year-old lads can join the army. And they are formative years where they will get military training. They can, and 25% of them are going to be retained, and the rest will be released. So, firstly, they will become a better citizen. They will also, imbibe a lot of leadership qualities, which the army will be training them. And then, you see, once they are out, say at about 20, 21, or 22 years of age, they will still have ocean of opportunities to prove themselves. So in a way, it is good that it is a kind of scholarship which the government is giving, or it is a kind of incentive the government is giving, so that the youth can serve the nation. And let me also tell you that anybody who leaves the army, once he goes on the civil street, he's a very sought after personality, because he is master of all trades. He can perform in any situation, under any circumstances. So that is very, very important, and this is going to give them a good standing as compared to their counterparts who will be applying afresh. Plus, the government has also announced a lot of reservations, a lot of relaxation. As a one-time relaxation has been given in the age, because during this COVID period there was no recruitment for 2 years. So hence, one-time waiver has been given in the age, for the recruitment. So I think it's a good opportunity that people should make use of.
Great, sir. So, on one side, it is true that they get their life skills. See, because no other institute other than the military academy, or probably, right, the defense forces give you leadership skills or any other life skill as such. The grit and determination that you get, and the way you will see life. The moment you have that societal instinct and a serving nation kind of an instinct, then your life, the way you see it, is very different. But having said that, how are the common people who, that have their private organizations? So when they recruit these people after 4 years of service, how should they look at them? Because if somebody gets into this at the age of 17, probably they wouldn't have had a chance to 17 or 18, they wouldn't have had a chance to complete their graduation or get into mainstream education and have something as a backup for them. So what should they do? How should the world view them? And is there anything that government is doing to ensure that there is a high visibility for these people when they come back after 4 years?
Well, you see, Army itself has a parallel education system where they'll be training, and the parallel education qualifications are recognized by most of the universities and the school boards. There are about 34 school boards across India. Now, so the people are going to qualify on those educations, and they will be given training, and qualifications will be there. Secondly, in Army, there is a provision that with the permission of the commanding officer, you can pursue. Like when I joined Army as an officer, I was 20 years, 6 months, at that young age, I was an officer. And after that, after joining the Army, I completed my graduation. I did my 2 masters, as you just read out my CV. I did law. I did my MBA. And then I did my MPhil in management and a PhD. And so you have to, stretch out yourself to achieve something. Like I remember when I was doing law, I had asked my commanding officer, sir, that I want to, there are morning classes for the law. I want to pursue law. So his first reaction was, "Oh, you want to avoid PT in the morning? You don't want to get up in the morning?" I said, "Sir," and he gave me a good volley of choicest of words. So I asked him once he had cooled down. I said, "Sir, by no stretch of imagination, I'm going to be sleeping because the classes start at 7. So I'll be leaving my office's mess at around 6:15 or so. I won't even have breakfast. And from there only, I'll come to the office. My uniform will go there. I'll change there. And then I'll start my work." So then, some wisdom dawned in him. And then he said, "Okay, then you can continue." And that's how I could complete my law degree or the LLB degree. So for 3 years, I was really very, very hard pressed. But today, I can very proudly say that yes, I have those qualifications. Similarly, the other qualification. So in army, it gives you ample of opportunity. There are provisions. People will allow you. I'll give you another example. When I was doing masters, that's the time one of the operations started, and my viva was there. So I asked my head of the department. I told him, "Sir, I won't be able to stay for viva." He says, "Yeah, that's very important, crucial." So I told him my unit has called me and the unit is going for operations. So he said, "Can you wait till say about 11 o'clock tomorrow?" So I rang up my unit, and that time there were no cell phones. So I rang them up and told them, "Okay, sir, can I come by say evening or early morning?" He says, "Okay, early morning you can come, but beyond that it will not be accepted, whether you complete your viva or not." So the university was very kind, and just because I was a uniformed person, so the first viva was mine. Then I sat in a truck. Then I, took a lift with some, motorcycle guy, and then somehow I reached my unit by say about 3 o'clock in the night. So these are the challenges which you have to undertake if you want to achieve something. So because there are no free lunches, you have to really put in your best to achieve what you want or what you aim at.
True, true. There is no shortcut to success. You need to, I mean, really put in a lot of effort, and especially when you're doing something for the nation, and it is not just your survival; it is the survival of the country. So, which is very important, and it's a purpose as well. You're not just going behind a career, but you're going behind a purpose, which is a meaningful one to go for. And see, when you say that earlier people had a 15-year service and then they could continue, or I mean that they'll be back, but whereas now every 4 years somebody can try new, and more people, more families can get themselves an opportunity to serve for the nation, so which is also an opportunity that is there. So maybe if you have to give your experience of or expertise of, how do you feel on day one when you wear the uniform and say that, no, I'm here guarding the nation, and I'm here for a purpose? How does that feel? Just share that experience with us, sir.
Yeah, Anita, that's a very nice question. Well, I come from a family which is in Limca Book of Records for having maximum army officers from one family. And so even if you take out our blood, my father. So, so he told me, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He said, there's a very good news for you. I said, what? Because I was also expecting my promotion around that time. So he says, you have been posted to Kargil, and the operations are being planned. Well, but say about till first week of May in 1999, it was that I think it will be a local election. But then people realized around mid-May that it is not a local election; it has to be a full-fledged war, because the Chinese, they were occupying the heights, and they had planned a very impressive and ambitious plan, and our agencies were totally taken by surprise. So he said, I said, how much time do I have? He says, 48 hours. Report to Delhi. You will be taken into a flight, and you will land in Srinagar, and then you will get your destination. Firstly, it was a matter of pride that you got orders from your father that you have to move on. And secondly, I even asked him. I said, "Can I get a day extra because my grandmother was there? I wanted to meet her." He says, "Don't worry, I'll look after my mother. You look after the motherland." So I went, and when we reached there, then we realized that it was a very formidable task, because there was a tacit understanding between Pakistan Army and Indian Army that the winter vacated post, because the terrain is so hostile, the terrain is so inhospitable that you can't stay there in winters. So even the Pakistan Army and the Indian Army, there is to be a tacit understanding that they will vacate the post, and they'll get back to the rear areas. The Pakistani did not do it. Indians did it. And, generally, once we used to vacate them, then the local Gujars and Bakarwals, these shepherds and all, they used to, keep their cattle and livestock there, and, spend some time in off winters. So some of these local Gujars and Bakarwals from our side came and told some of the army units that the guys who are staying across do not belong to our community of fraternity. And people did not take it very seriously. Then again, when the intelligence reports came in, that time a patrol was sent, and when the patrol fired, in those bunkers, because generally you fire and you want to know the strength and disposition of the enemy, then the enemy fired back with automatic weapons, and that's the time they realized that, oh, the strength is phenomenal. And they not only, captured Lieutenant Kalia, they also treated him in a very unsoldierly manner. His body was mutilated. He had cigarette burn. And that is the time India realized that it has to be a full-fledged operation. And then the operations were launched. And it was, the credit goes to all young officers. We lost about 541 young officers, junior commissioned officers, and the Jawans. But the battle was won, or the war was won, because of the young, dynamic leaders proved their mettle time and again to Pakistan that India is not going to take anything like now.
True, sir. When you're telling me, I'm able to relate to it. Whereas someone gives you a promotion and says that, yeah, there is a warfare waiting for you, and that's where you're going to be. So, as a human being, okay, keeping the position aside, as a human being, when you were told that there is a warfare and you are promoted and you're going to be, I mean, in charge. So, how did you feel? Could you just also talk about that emotion that you had at that point of time, and how did you face that situation?
Well, for a soldier in his military career, it is because he's only waiting for such opportunity. Sorry, we got disconnected.
Yeah, I was just trying to send you a text. Sorry, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I was telling you that it was because of these young officers that we, won this battle. And it was a crushing defeat for the, Pakistani soldiers. And let me tell you, they had planned it very nicely and very strategically, and very ambitious plans they had made. But you see, when the postmortem was done, when they refused to take the bodies of their own soldier, which is totally uncalled for, the Indian Army gave them a decent, burial. And when the postmortem was done, you won't believe that some of the soldiers had grass in their stomach because they had nothing to eat. And, they were just left, their own. And India gave them a very, very soldierly like, farewell from this world. And like some of these soldiers who fought very bravely, like I remember Brigadier Bajwa putting up a letter in the pocket of one Captain Karnal Sher, saying that he fought like a tiger, he should be rewarded. I mean, that is the ethos which Indian Army has. That is because soldiering is respected. Yes, that so what if he's your enemy? But yes, he has done this, for their nation.
True, true. I think that's why India stands tall when it comes to, I mean, right, how we treat anybody, irrespective of whatever, no, I mean, right, pain and trouble that we get from them. Sometimes we are also, I think, criticized for this, for, I mean, right, being even good to people, that are trying to kill us on one side. So thanks for your thoughts and sharing with us, about this. And the other aspect of, what I wanted to ask is, see, you were talking about 25% of the Agniveers getting selected, okay, into mainstream, and the 75% would have to find out something else for themselves after this service. So, how the selection process happens there? What one should be prepared for to ensure that they are part of the 25% lot?
Firstly, you see, the people have to do very well, and they'll be selected based on their performance, in the units, performance on the courses, and on their annual confidential reports, which will be rendered on them.
Mhm.
And since the retention percentage is, very low, in fact, one of my recommendation, was that the percentage of retention should be increased, and even the rules of even the period of engagement can be reviewed, because for
Mhm.
short service officers, the initial engagement period is 10 years, and another extension of 4 years is given. So a similar kind of arrangement can be done for them also, because that will give a lot of security and confidence to the young boys, especially those who want to make army as a career.
Sure.
Because there are some die-hard soldiers who just want to serve army in whatever form it is there. So that is what I'll recommend the government, that if they can review it, I am sure it will be reviewed. But yes, if you have to be in first 25%, you have to work very hard. You have to be dedicated, and you have to give your best. And then only you will be, you'll find a place for permanency as far as Agniveers are concerned.
Okay, okay. Great, sir. So I think that's a good input for people to take. And specifically, right, on this itself, on training, what kind of, if you can just give a glimpse of what kind of good and bad days that they will have during the training period, that those bad days, they'll have to take it at face value and get through that. And good days, so that they can carry for their lifetime. If you can just give a glimpse of that, it'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah, because you see, what happens is, because to train a soldier, you have to literally, reformat that motherboard. Because, when, especially now with the nuclear families, every child is a, prince or a princess at home.
True.
So, yeah, because gone are the days when, people had bigger families and the kids used to rough it out. So now, army is not a bed of roses. It has to be, because you have to work in adverse conditions, because not every situation will be very, very favorable to you. So they are basically trained on human endurance. You are made fit. Physically, you are made fit. Because, you see, you should know the potential of your body. You should know how much your body can take, especially in adverse conditions. So a soldier has to be, formatted that. So by the time, he completes his training, he himself feels so proud of himself that he's trained on weaponry, he's trained on map reading, he's trained on unarmed combat, he's trained on academics, he's trained on survival, he's trained on jungle warfare, he's trained on mountain warfare. So all kind of situations he's trained. He's trained on how to survive under adverse conditions. So that itself gives a lot of advantage. That's why एक शायर ने बड़ा अच्छा कहा है कि कोई चांद लाकर नहीं देगा, कोई चांद लाकर नहीं देगा, अपने चेहरे को जगमगाया कर. Because army trains you to empower yourself, to find that hidden potential in you. So that is very, very important. And every Agniveer has to think in that, because you see, say 40,000 army is recruiting. So 40,000 Agniveers will join, 10,000 will be retained. Everybody will start from the same platform or from the same page. But then how well you do, how well you adapt yourself, that is very, very important. वही है कि वो कहते हैं ना कि हर इंसान की अपनी चाल है, हर इंसान की अपनी परवाज है, कोई जमीन पे रह गया, कोई कहकशां से मिल गया. So मतलब somebody is on the earth, whereas somebody is talking, or he's acting like a lightning.
Awesome, sir. That's really cool. I mean, right? See, the output or the outcome that they get after this training is amazing. I mean, they themselves would see a different individual in front of them. I don't think they would have seen themselves whatever was there a few months back. But in the process, a lot of people go through stress. Okay, there is homesickness that comes up, and their family is away. So, how one should really prepare themselves? Are there mechanisms? Are there systems and tools that you have internally to ensure that that is bridged in terms of their stress levels, or when they miss their families? So how is that addressed during the training program?
Stress is a very important part of army training, because even in the selection procedure, a lot of simulated stress is given to you, so that the true value of your personality comes out. Mm-hmm. So, and stress is also of two types. One is eustress, and the other is distress. Eustress is good stress, and distress is bad. You require, that kind of stress, because if you don't have that kind of spark, if you don't when you are writing an exam, there is some kind of eustress in a child or in a student, but that is a good stress, because that motivates him to do well. So similarly, how to manage stress, he's taught. Secondly, how to battle psychology, or even loneliness, that is taken into consideration, especially once he becomes an Agniveer. You see, army is the only organization which gives you leave for, say, about almost 90 days. It is basically because, since you are working in isolated areas, in difficult inhospitable terrain, so you are allowed to come and meet your family. And now most of these stations are military stations, are family stations, and you can stay with your family. So these are certain good steps which the government has taken, and like people are given. You have you can travel by air, get free air travel to come and meet your family. So that's a very good step. So I don't think people will miss the family, but yes, they have to also keep it in mind that it is the the nation comes first, and the rest of the things they follow.
True. Family is not just, that their own blood, but it becomes larger, and the nation, that becomes their family. Yeah. We've come to the close of the session as well. Thank you so much for patiently answering all my frivolous questions, I'd say, because no, I'm not equipped to really ask you, questions around this with I mean, a number of years of experience and whatever you've faced and whatever no you've achieved in life. I think you patiently answered all the questions that I had. So, what are your closing remarks for the day, and how do you want people to see this Agnipath scheme, and how should they pursue it? And what are your success, I mean, factors that you want to tell them?
Well, let me tell you, firstly, I mean, you had posed very good and very well thought out questions, and I must appreciate that. And they were really very, very relevant. And I'm sure the cobwebs or the nebulous kind of state in which some of the youngsters would be, they would have been clear. Now, what I want to tell you, this is a very good scheme. People should encash on it. You see, I like today's Times of India. Today was the NEET exam. Uh, from last year till this year, there has been a increase of 247% candidates. There were 18 lakh, I think 70,000 candidates who have applied for NEET with vacancies which were 91,416 or something. So now you see 1 crore 20 lakh people join the the job queues or the job market. The competition is going to be stiff. The competition is going to be steep. So it is much better to get into some kind of job, find, put your boots on ground, and then look for opportunities where there you will come out as a much better person, much trained, and much sought after, and you will also get reservation. I will only like to, end my talk with a quote that army will give you such a good opportunity to train you and to make a better human being, a better leader, whether after leaving army, whether you become an academic leader, whether you become a corporate leader, whether you become a political leader, whatever, you will become a better human being. And I'll just quote it, finish it with a quote. न तराशे गए तो पत्थर थे, न तराशे गए तो पत्थर थे, तराश दिए तो खुदा बन गए. So army does that kind of metamorphic change in a person or in a boy. He will be converted into a hardened military leader, which will stand him in a good stead in whatever walk of life he walks in.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful. I think no, we are blessed. I mean, to get you online with us and to share your wisdom with us. Thank you so much. And we will very soon connect with you on a different forum as well. And for all of them who are trying to understand what Agnipath is, should I pursue it or not? What kind of positives and negatives, I mean, are there? I think you gave them a clear picture of what it is and why people should go for it, and what it is for them to just go there. And even if it is a few years of service, even if they are not part of the 25%, if they are going to be part of 75%, it's still worth it, because it gives you a life, it gives you a personality that can make you, I mean, that lead a different life altogether. So thank you so much. And I think one point that I also want to cover on a closing note is, so when these people complete and when they come back, even after 4 years, if they don't continue, if they come back, I think they don't have to get into very smaller jobs like the way people are creating in the social platforms and in media, but it is technology driven. The services are completely technology driven now. I think the technology piece is completely missed. People think that they go fight, come back, and then what is there for them here? So I think there is much more to it. You touched upon the humanity aspect. You touched upon the leadership and also technology. I think this is what is needed in the corporate world now. So people will have humongous opportunities after they come back. So I think we will definitely have more Agniveers opting for it because of your words, sir. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, ma'am.